Good morning. I normally would not wake up this early. I find when it's for someone else, I will wake up this early. Or if it's a community, I'll wake up this early. But for me to come out and train, I prefer the afternoon and the evening. Be that as it may, it's interesting how I can just get up and make it happen when I have to train somebody. But again, everybody's schedule is different. You figure out what works best for you. For some reason, I have plenty of energy this morning. I think I've been focusing a little more on breath work, and that's kind of opening up. I'm using more breath work to push the muscles into their proper alignment. I've been focusing a lot more on this word alignment. A little history on me. When I was 12 years old, I dislocated my hip in a freak accident in a sleepaway camp. And what wound up happening is I went to the infirmary and they didn't know that I had a dislocation. So I stayed there overnight by myself in the infirmary. And the next morning I tried to go to the bathroom and I couldn't because I couldn't walk. And that's when they knew something was wrong. So they sent me to the hospital, yada, yada, yada. They pushed it back in, the hip back in the socket. And what's interesting is that my parents had to drive upstate to the summer camp where I was at. Be that as it may, I never had any PT. And when we were coming out of the hospital, the doctors told my parents that I might not be able to walk in 10 years because the bone was out of the socket and it wasn't getting any nutrients, any blood. So I still have remnants of that reality because where the bone is, the muscles that worked around it, they just grew that way. And so, your body goes into the position that it goes into, never having had any physical therapy. I walked with a limp, and sometimes I still have that limp. If it's noticeable to other people, I can feel it, but it is noticeable to some other people. Be that as it may, what happens when you start doing physical fitness 30 years later and start to realize my body's been compensating this whole time, me not knowing that. But as a trainer and as a group fitness instructor, I'm learning that more and more, that my physical body figured out the position to get into, and then my rest of my body's like, oh, we're just gonna work around that. And I've been able to do some stuff, right? Spartans, half marathons, Ironman. But I wasn't doing that 100% because my body was compensating around the misalignment. So I'm in the process now of realignment, and it's gonna take a heck of a lot of work. And I'm okay with that. But my concern is when you think about organizations that have, this is how we do it. It's been this way forever, ever, ever, ever. And yet, who's ready to do the realignment work? And it's not easy. So that's the journey that I'm on right now, because I can't change my bone structure, but I can change the muscle, where the muscles are and where they've taken up residence. And moving that in such a way is gonna require a heck of a lot of work. But I found a program that I think it has the right methodology and I comprehend it now. And so I think for the next 5 months, I'll be in this realignment stage, rehab realignment. And I'm looking forward to it because I can see its applications in other areas and other bodies, right? Other human bodies, as well as organizational bodies. And to what degree can we realign organizations in a way that is healthier so that there's more that the organization body has to output, but we can't tap into it because we've been compensating for so long that becomes the normalization, that becomes normalized dysfunction, that becomes what we call organizational culture. And we think it's normal, and it's not normal at all. So, keep you updated.